Welcome to First. I'm Mark Eichman along with Nichelle Polston and Shirley Min. Delaware's beaches need constant attention. That's not new, but some think new approaches should be taken to keep the sand in place.
A simple act of kindness has brought the water crisis in Flint, Michigan to the attention of a family in Wilmington. See how they plan to help this week on First.
And if the goal of education is to keep people learning all of their lives, then check out how the Osher Institute fits into the University of Delaware. First, your public media news magazine starts now.
By the time you're ready to hit the Delaware beaches this summer, you probably won't even be able to tell there was severe damage done in recent storms. The damage was so bad that Governor Jack Markell has asked the Obama administration for financial relief needed to rebuild from that January storm. First Look reports on how the state is protecting property at the beach and how some say that process needs to be changed. Shifting sands. Whether winter nor'easter or summertime hurricane, the sand at Delaware's beaches is vulnerable to coastal storms. This January, a storm that dumped more than a foot of snow in parts of Newcastle County hammered beaches in the first state with high tides and strong waves. The moving sand created pools of water along the beach that did add an extra spot for these polar plungers to enjoy.
It was an extremely intense low. We had waves right off the beach here, 13-foot high, which is extraordinarily high. It equaled or exceeded the highest level tide we've ever had in Breakwater Harbor up here at the mouth of Delaware Bay. It rivaled the 62 storm, and we think it might have even been a little bit higher than the 62 storm.
That 1962 storm had been considered the storm of the century, but changing conditions could make this type of damage more common.
The prediction has been we're going to see advanced rates of sea level rise, we're going to see a stormier environment. It's time will tell if this becomes the norm or is this something that's been a pattern we've seen in the past.
Repairing the damage has become almost routine for state workers who were recently honored by Governor Markell in Dewey Beach.
We did lose a lot, and we certainly were a long way from having regained it all, but these guys are doing some very good work to try to protect the all of the property again.
It's not just about pushing sand. There's a science behind this. So, we have our survey crew that's actually taking measurements to see, how much sand we've lost, look at the topography, and then think about how we can rebuild these beaches.
That rebuilding starts with taking advantage of a natural process. Calm waves after a storm slowly return sand closer to the beach.
We began to tap into that and pull that sand back up with bulldozers back up into the face of the dune. So we keep hitting them. And as more sand comes in over the next month or two, we will push more sand back up here.
But not everybody's happy with the way the beach is being rebuilt.
With the grade that they're using, we've seen a lot of safety issues. There's a steep drop-off at the beach here. We're finding that the way the replenishment's engineered, it doesn't promote sandbars. We always say a surfable beach is a safe beach.
John Dorfler with the Surfrider Foundation's Delaware chapter is concerned that new public hearings haven't been held on the replenishment efforts.
When the plan was put together 20 years ago, that was the only time for public comment. If you were to build a $30 million hotel on any beachfront property, in any municipality, anywhere, there would be a huge 90-day public comment period.
But DENREC's Tony Pratt says the Surfrider Group has had plenty of opportunity to weigh in on the process.
It's interesting they say that because we've been having that conversation with them for about a decade. When they say it needs to be rethought, we've been rethinking it with them for 10 years, so I don't quite understand their position.
We have a voice because we request the meeting. We have a voice because we talk to them directly. A special interest should not be the only voice. Our special interest is the special place we call the beach. That's unfair to everyday taxpayers.
The Surfrider Group wants replenishment done in a different way. They say the current process makes the beach more dangerous for swimmers and surfers. But Pratt says the projects have to be done in a cost-effective way, which right now means taking sand close to the shoreline.
We want to have a good surfing beach, we want to have a good recreational beach, we want to have a durable beach, and we want to have a beach that the Corps of Engineers at the end of the day can pump within their cost frame so that their benefit and cost analysis stays favorable.
If there's one thing that there's agreement on, it's that this will not be the last time storm damage strikes these beaches.
I tell my guys constantly, it's going to be, you build it and it's torn down, and you build it again and it's torn down, and you build it again. It's not unlike building a sandcastle for your kid along the high tide line. If it gets knocked down, we'll build it back.
The importance of protecting these beaches was really underscored earlier this week when a report showed Delaware's tourism contributes $3 billion to the state economy. Travel to the beaches, of course, accounts for a big chunk of that $3 billion. And as Tony Pratt said, they know there will be another storm, so they're working as hard as they can to prepare the beaches and the dunes before that next storm arrives.
Okay, well, so the Surfrider group isn't happy with how the beach is being replenished. Mark, is there another alternative?
They don't have a specific plan that this is the way the beaches should be designed. They really want more stakeholders, more residents, more communities to have a discussion about how it's being done now, how it could be done differently. They point to the northern beach at Indian River as an example of a better design. They say that beach has a more gradual grading to it and doesn't have the dramatic drop-off that some beaches that we see at some Delaware beaches. Above all, they really just want more people involved in the process of deciding how these beaches are rebuilt.
All right, well, back to those tourism numbers. The report says visitors to the Delaware beaches were up 7%. That's good news. So it's important to take care of our beaches, I guess.
Sure, the beach is very important to the state economy. That translates into about 8 million people visiting the beach. And on top of that, you sort of have the other side, predictions of more storms, stronger storms, hurricanes this summer coming. So there really is a balancing act that the state has to do.
Okay, well, thanks, Mark. You can read more about the beach damage and restoration effort at newsworks.org/Delaware. Now to a replenishment project of a different kind. Just imagine not being able to drink, bathe, or cook because the water treatment plant in your area is faulty and not filtering out contaminated water. How do you adjust? That's exactly what's going on in Flint, Michigan, but some Wilmington residents are doing their part to help.
It was actually a journey. It was a full journey from beginning to end.
The Journey, a road trip from Wilmington, Delaware to Flint, Michigan. The mission, delivering these cases of water to Flint due to the recent water crisis there. The trip is the first of many for a Delaware family determined to help those in need.
There's always somebody in need. You know, there's a desire in your heart to do something, and if there's something come to you, do it.
In January, a state of emergency was declared in the city of Flint due to water contaminated with lead. It's the result of problems with the city's water treatment plant.
A lot of people have a lot of complications and rashes and complications with like lead poisoning, and they didn't really realize that it was from the water because they waited to tell the public.
And that information is what prompted the outpouring of support that led to more than 100 donated cases of water.
We shouldn't take water for granted at all, because there are some others that don't have at all. So you should look back over your life and say, I'm thankful, because some people don't have nothing.
Brown documented the journey, introducing a woman and her newborn granddaughter, trying to make the best out of the unusual living conditions.
The actual situation, you can be depressed. And, you know, you got to watch what you do. You use the bottled water to brush your teeth, clean yourself, you know, cook, wash your meat, your vegetables. So what you do, you kind of shift the way you do your food. You go to frozen stuff where you don't have to require a lot of water. You just put the water in there. That's what I do. I mean, the fresh is basically out because it was requiring too much water.
The video also shows the willing residents that guided Brown and her family through Flint to deliver the water.
My name is Renee Jones. I'm from Madison Heights, Michigan, and we came down to assist the Delaware people, and we appreciate all your help.
Days after the trip, Brown couldn't do much but reflect because some of the images were just too hard to erase.
When we were bringing the water into the people's homes, you could see water bottles everywhere, jugs, baby wipes everywhere, because that's their reality every day.
To date, volunteers across the country, even celebrities, have come together to support the people of Flint. But one troubling fact still lingers for Brown, the fact that this problem won't be fixed overnight.
It's going to be a while. They were saying that their local government really had no real answers,
as into when it will be solved. And so they're for now, the people in Flint are saying that someone needs to be held responsible.
Brown, along with family and friends, plan to make another trip to Flint in April, so donations are still needed at Sepia Cleaners and Southbridge. I also like to add that they're not the only ones helping out. I recently met 4 Delaware residents who were a part of projects that delivered truckloads of water to Flint.
Coming up on First, the beauty of black and white comes alive inside an exhibit at the Newark Arts Alliance. First experience comes your way in less than 15 minutes. And finding ways to learn throughout your life is the mantra of the Osher Institute. Teach Me goes inside the Learning Center later on First.
First Person this week looks at a new education partnership focusing on public education in Delaware. The two people behind the idea are Dr. Tony Allen and Dr. Quinetta Roberson. They joined us here on First for our first person conversation, so thanks so much, both of you, for being here. So I want to make sure, before we jump into this, I got the details right, okay? So you two have given $100,000, right?
Correct.
To establish the Fund for Urban Education. That's going to be used to help launch this UD partnership for public education. Do I have that right?
That's right.
Correct.
Okay. So how'd the idea come about? I mean, Quinetta, were you guys having a beer or something, said, hey, let's give $100,000 to the University of Delaware?
Likely wine.
I was about to say we were probably having or something stronger. But this goes back to over 25 years. We were classmates at the University of Delaware and have hatched a number of plans, but we are also products of public schools and recognized a need for something to be done. And so we tried to think about how we could use what we had gotten from Delaware, leverage that, and do something good.
Dr. Allen, so the basic thing I've heard is that this money will be used to help improve education, urban education in Delaware, right? What's the short-term goal?
So there are kind of two goals. One was encouraging more black philanthropy at the University of Delaware. Quinetta talked about our history. I'd argue that the black alumni at the University of Delaware are a pretty tight-knit group and care about the things that make students ready and prepared to matriculate through the University of Delaware. Oftentimes, though, we're not always clear about how best to leverage our own resources to make that happen. So the Fund for Urban Education is allowing us to do that. And we were lucky that President Nancy Target launched a UD partnership for public education in line with this. So the university is supporting that partnership itself. We wanted to provide additional support and encourage others to join us. And as you probably know, the partnership central to it is this relationship with the Institute for Public Administration and the College of Arts and Sciences and the College of Education. And the idea is that Delaware does a lot of different things around public education that I'd argue weren't particularly coordinated. So this is an opportunity for us to coordinate it in a thoughtful way and then direct resources very directly into public schools, specifically in Wilmington, but to Delaware more broadly.
So tangibly, what are we going to see come out of this gift in the short term? I mean, is there an initiative or something that you guys are really targeting with the money up front?
Yeah, I'd say most of our work with the Institute in particular has been in support of the Women's Education Improvement Commission, which I chair. And as you know, that has many different aspects to it.
Absolutely.
Most notably, and in the news as of late, is redistricting, but we're also interested in equitable funding for low-income students, English language learners, and special education K through 3. Also teacher and professional development and coordinating services across the state. Our one big goal coming out initially through the Fund for Urban Education is really to aggregate the performance both quantitatively and qualitatively of urban students, particularly in Wilmington. I will tell you the Department of Education does not aggregate their information in that way, so if you asked them how Wilmington students were doing specifically, they couldn't tell you.
Because it's all split up between different districts and different governing bodies. So this will be a way to maybe say, get some cleaner, more digestible data maybe about some of like how Wilmington students are doing? Are you envisioning that?
And in fact, be able to hold the districts that are educating them a little bit more accountable for their success. And Quinetta talks about this a lot and has done a lot of work in this area. The ability for us to build a pipeline so that African American and Latino students and other students of color are prepared to enter a university like the University of Delaware is really the longer term outcome of all of this.
So, Quinetta, you guys went to the University of Delaware. Yeah. You met at the University of Delaware. Yeah. And now you've been alum of University of Delaware for a couple decades. What's that experience been like? I mean, you're talking about one of your goals, you said, was to sort of signal to Black alumni, hey, you can create your own initiatives, you can be involved as alum. Has that been a difficult experience at times? Do you sense there's a need for that a little bit at the University of Delaware?
There's a need in several ways. I think part of this stemmed from our experience at the University of Delaware, where in terms of representation of underrepresented groups, African Americans represented a very small number, very small part of the population. And you find that a number of universities will track those numbers, but they don't track, as Tony was saying, the other side of the coin, which is inclusion. Mm-hmm. And so how much are those members of underrepresented groups ingrained in the culture? And, probably we had a number of experiences around, a lack of inclusion. Absolutely. And so being able to not only create that pipeline, I mean, we hear people in organizations say, we can't find members of this group. And so rather than allow that to be an excuse, we want to figure out a way to kind of get in front of the pipeline and start to build it. But then also through socialization, other types of cultural initiatives, really try to drive the culture of schools and the university so that, as Tony mentioned, students have a higher success rate.
Yeah, Avi, I'd say too, the Black Alumni Organization at the university will tell you is one of the strongest affinity groups at the university. So this is not a group of folks who are shrinking violets by any stretch. You can come to homecoming or any other big initiative at the university and find African Americans being very proud blue hens. So we want to make sure that they feel that they have other vehicles to show that pride. And one of those ways is to donate and contribute to causes that they care about, whether it's ours, like the Fund for Urban Education, or funding other things on campus that they're passionate about.
Very, very quickly before we end here, you can give your money to all sorts of causes, and there are a lot of good ones out there. Yeah. What about education really sparks a fire? I mean, why not do any number of other causes?
I mean, we could probably go into several cliches about how education is key and the power of education, but it's true in that I think we are both examples of that. Yep. That we, are products of the public education system, and that with the proper kind of grooming and care and training and development, that the results can be impactful. Yep. And we want to kind of have a return on that investment. So what was invested in us in terms of public education and at the University of Delaware, it combines two facets of who we each are at our core.
The statistics suggest that we weren't supposed to be sitting here having donated $100,000 for this initiative, and I might argue and/or be products of the University of Delaware. So we believe that to whom much is given, much is expected.
Absolutely. Who would have guessed that when you guys met as freshmen, you'd be here announcing a $100,000 gift these many years later? Thank you so much, Dr. Tony Allen, Dr. Quinetta Roberson, for joining us here on First. You can watch this conversation again on newsworks.org/Delaware.
Just tuning in, you can wait for First to come on the TV again, or you can go online to WHYY.org/First. Past shows are there as well. We also have past broadcasts of First if you have Comcast on demand.
Last September, the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at the University of Delaware campus in Wilmington celebrated its 35th anniversary. It continues to be one of the country's top destinations for senior citizens who want to learn. Delaware education reporter Avi Wolfman-Arent is back with our Teach Me segment. And Avi, what are you teaching us today?
Well, Shirley, when you think about it, learning and even teaching into your senior years is the ultimate Teach Me. We spent a day with some of these teachers at Ollie to see what motivates them to continue their careers long after retirement. For Paul Hess, the front of the classroom is a familiar place.
I've been teaching since, I guess, 1966.
He and his wife Joyce have been music teachers all their adult lives, mostly in Delaware public schools. When they retired, they weren't quite ready to give up the craft.
I just love doing it. That's why I'm still doing it. And not getting paid to do it, but loving it.
And so they landed at Ollie, the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at the University of Delaware, where they teach a variety of music classes to some of the Institute's 2,600 members.
But I just get really excited about music, and when you teach, I think that transfers. I get the excitement back from the people I'm working with.
Ollie provided the Hesses a chance not only to keep learning, but to keep growing as teachers. As Paul Hess will tell you, retirees can be just as challenging and rewarding as middle schoolers.
They seem to be more interested in not just face value, but understanding how things work. And very honestly, with me, I feel like it's forcing me to go a little more in depth in terms of preparing.
Preparation is something Michael Walsh knows well. In his professional life, he taught adults how to prepare for retirement. And when it comes to his class on Dean Martin, he definitely comes prepared.
He also did some boxing back then. His name was Kid Crochet. He said he was a great fighter. He had 12 fights, and he won them all but 11. If you look at his hands.
Right after the lecture on Dino ends, Walsh offers a class on another entertainment legend and throws in a costume change to boot.
All right, well now let's shift to John Wayne, Duke Rides again.
Walsh says teaching John Wayne is a lot like teaching finance, with one exception.
But this is a lot more fun. I mean, a lot of fun.
And that's the one thing that distinguishes Ollie from just about any other school you'll ever visit. Every class is populated by students who want to be in that class and teachers who want to teach that subject, says program manager Carol Bernard.
That's what I hear from the instructors all the time. I do it because the students enjoy it and I love putting it together. It's their passion.
And because the courses come straight from the passions of the teachers, Ollie offers a diverse group of classes. Everything from eloquent lectures on George Washington.
And there he's talking about the writings of Enlightenment philosophers.
To a class that combines yoga with golf.
Wrap the four fingers around it, have your thumb underneath.
Steve DeMond, a former elementary school teacher in the Colonial School District, leads the yoga golf course.
Yeah, it gets in your blood, you know. You can retire from your job, but teaching is just something that it's a great enterprise, a great thing to do, and I've always had fun doing it.
In addition to teaching, DeMond also plays under Paul and Joyce Hess in the concert band. For many like him, Ollie provides an outlet for their impulses to teach, to learn, and to be part of a community.
Every week, someone comes in and says this place saved their life. They were retired, or maybe they're widowed, or recently, and they come here for the classes initially, but they stay because of the socialization.
There are 119 Osher Lifelong Learning Institutes around the country. The University of Delaware is the second largest in terms of membership, quite a testament to the school's enduring popularity.
I had no idea there were that many. Now, I'm assuming all the teachers are volunteers?
They are, and actually they have to pay to teach there, amazingly. You have to be a member to be a teacher, and it costs $260 to join for a semester. Those that teach courses can receive a discount on that fee, but obviously you have to love teaching.
Yeah, so. They definitely want to teach if they want to pay for it too. Which courses are offered?
Well, it's all driven by the members. So a member can submit a course proposal, then it goes to a 26-member curriculum committee. They interview the prospective teacher, they approve the course, and then actually when it's over, they get teacher evaluations to see if they want to continue the course in the future. So you can leave school, but you still get those evaluations, yeah.
And how many courses do these students get to choose from?
It's about 270 for a semester, and the semesters are the same length as the University of Delaware semesters for the undergraduate students. They're about 13 to 14 weeks long.
Okay, thank you so much, Ave. And you can see more from our Teach Me series at newsworks.org/Delaware.
Who needs color? For this week's first experience, we visit the Newark Arts Alliance and their exhibit in black and white. From photography and painting to pottery, we see how these artists have worked to create these monochromatic pieces.
The exhibit is in black and white. I wanted to try and get a good representation of the community here that's submitting, because this is our community arts center. Over 70 pieces of art were submitted by over 40 artists. We have photography of individual images, we have collage, we have oil paintings, we have prints, we have a variety of pottery. It's a broad range. In my work, I just want to commit to one thing or a few things and really try and go for some depth in it. I'd like to kind of find my creativity within a structure, within a box, if you will. Color is complicated, and sometimes it's just, you just see the color, but with the black and the white, I can get a depth, but it's also a clarity. You're just down to the fundamental basic form. It's got clarity because the less noisy, you can get down to the basics and your core message of the pieces. People aren't going to relate to everything. Maybe one of the things to do when the public comes in is to spend a little time in the room and see what speaks to you and why. To be curious about what you're seeing. Maybe see the name of the artist and maybe remember it. Maybe look them up on the web. But there's going to be work you don't relate to, and that's okay. I hope they're struck with the variety and depth of the talent that's just in this community. You stand here and you look around and you see the different work here. They're expressing it in their own way. Out of coming into a room like this and seeing how different people relate to black and white. It sounds so simple, but in reality, it's got so much complexity to it.
The Newark Arts Alliance holds different shows and classes throughout the year. In Black and White runs through February 27th. For more information, visit them on the web at newarkartsalliance.org.
Next week on First, we head inside that mammoth Amazon operation in Middletown. It's just one of a number of companies that offer unique training to their workers as companies in our region try to retain employees. And we'll bring you into spring with a little activity called Bijitsu.
And he said the magic word spring, hard to believe, will turn the clocks forward on March 6th. That is First for this week. We thank you for watching. For Avi Wolfman-Arndt, Nichelle Polston, and Shirley Min, I'm Mark Eichman. Have a great week.